You are listening to the Maple Footy Podcast, the unofficial football podcast of the North. I'm your host, Sam Little. Find me on socials at SamLittle44 and the podcast at Maple Footy Pod. And now there's nothing left to say except for sit back, enjoy, and welcome to the show.
Hello, yes, and welcome back to the Maple Footy Podcast, episode 97. Fitting, as Dane St. Clair, who wears 97 for his club side, started this match. And yeah, 97 episodes, that's absolutely absurd. Really close to 100 now, which is even crazier. So we're almost in triple digits. The next milestone, I guess, is like 4 digits, the quadruple digits. Wouldn't that be something? Anyways, this hopefully will be something. Sorry, as I'm making literally stupid jokes to myself that aren't even funny. Yes, thank you so much for listening to us so far and hopefully continuing to listen to us in the future as well. We ain't going nowhere. Don't you worry. But yes, Canada, Colombia played in New Jersey. Actually a good crowd, good turnout, which is funny to me because I was like dogging on this being in America when neither team was American. But hey, the fans showed up, which is always good. I hate when we do like a friendly or even tournaments like Gold Cup, CONCACAF, Nations League. Like some of those are like more than half empty stadiums. So I'm always glad when people actually show up. It actually adds to the games. But yeah, 0-0 draw. I don't know. I feel like this one actually may be a bit more negative than my Australia one. I don't know. We'll see what I say and where we go and whatnot. But I know people are very happy about this. And do not get me wrong. I will straight off the bat, hopping into our pros and cons immediately here, I guess. Straight off the bat, pro, we looked not out of place, which is good, I think. And I have said multiple times on multiple occasions, I feel like we play up to our competition. So if our competition is like theoretically worse than us, I feel like we're not as good. But when our competition is equal to or better than us, I feel like we play up to that and we kind of surpass expectation. I feel like a lot of our best games under Jesse Marsh have come against opposition that on paper and in theory are better than us. And of course, that is kind of the case with Colombia. They are better than Canada on paper. And it's just good that, I'm sitting and watching us draw 0-0 with Colombia going, I feel like we probably could have done a bit better there. I know that kind of contradicts a little bit what I said, but let me explain. Years ago, 10 years ago, if we drew 0-0 with Colombia, we'd be going, holy smokes, that's insane. We drew 0-0 with Colombia. Now I'm kind of sitting here going, you know what? That's good. Don't get me wrong, but don't you think maybe we could have done better? And I think that is weirdly a positive because I think it's showing the difference in expectation in your average fan, i.e. like someone like me. I mean, I'm more than an average fan. I got a podcast. But no, in all seriousness, I feel like it shows a level of, okay, like there has been improvements in this program and in this team that we are sitting here going, you know what? Yes, we take a 0-0. That is definitely a good result. But maybe we could have done better, So weirdly enough, I feel like that's a pro. Disagree with me if you would like, because you could, I guess, also see that as a con. But yeah, I will say for now that is a pro. One day, hopefully, that's not a pro, and it's no longer an expectation that we do better than these teams. Maybe we just do better than these teams. Do you know what I mean? Another pro. I keep on like hitting my microphone. I'm so sorry. I'm in not my normal setup right now. As I drag my phone across the desk. We're very professional here on the Maple Footy Podcast. My other pro, I know, only 2 pros. Sorry, guys. I thought some of our performances were outstanding. Like, genuinely. I will name off a couple guys. I won't get into them too much because I'll talk about them and gush about them a little bit more as I get into like the player by player. But Nico Seeger, what a bounce back. I had said last episode I actually thought Seeger was really good outside of his mistake against Australia, and all the eyes were on Seeger. It felt like on this night. one, because of that mistake, how's he going to rebound? Are we going to, is he going to be able to bounce back? And two, he was marking Luis Diaz, who they kept on saying was world class on the commentary. I would disagree. Luis Diaz is a very good player. World class feels like a little bit of a stretch. All due respect to you Luis Diaz fans out there, and Luis Diaz, the man himself. But yeah, anyways, that's just me disagreeing for disagreement's sake. Seager was phenomenal. Like, genuinely, that maybe his best cap, his best night in a Canada jersey. I know he's early days, but to this point, he looked strong defensively. He was in on he was fully committed on every single tackle. He was man marking Luis Diaz so well. Luis Diaz had like one chance all game, and it came from like a counterattack basically. So it just shows you how well Seager really did lock up Luis Diaz. And then him pushing forward, I always love seeing him kind of push into the midfield area, because you can just see he's just a midfielder. Do you know what I mean? He's doing very good at right back, don't get me wrong, but you see the best of him in that midfield. Speaking of midfield, Stefan Estacio, my personal man of the match. I know the opinions seem to be pretty split between Estacio and Seager as the two man of the matches. Or, well, one man of the match, two guys fighting for it, I suppose. But Stefan Estacio, man, what a game. I thought he was phenomenal. Once again, and this might be a crazy take, potentially Estacio's best game that I've seen in a long time. And that's not me saying he's been bad. By no means. I just mean he was that good. He would talk about bossing the midfield. I know that term gets kind of thrown around a lot when it comes to midfielders, but he proper bossed this midfield in a game where we saw guys like, obviously, his own teammate Ishmael Kone, and then on the Colombian side, you had guys like Quintero, Richard Reyes, and then, of course, James Rodriguez coming in. Stefan Estacio was the best midfielder on the pitch. He just was. And I know, people would maybe disagree with that. I don't see how you can. But yeah, he was winning. It felt like almost every duel, controlling the ball, controlling the tempo. Some of the distribution on him this game, oh my gosh, he was looking phenomenal. And my one final one, Luc de Fougerolles. I had also said he was maybe potentially kind of sort of culpable for the goal against Australia, as it looked like there was a break in communication between him and Seager. Once again, could be totally wrong, so if that's not the case, Luke, I'm sorry. Regardless, it's not going to change the fact that I thought you had a phenomenal game, kind of like Seager. I think his best cap to date for a national team. He looked not out of place at all. He looked mature. He looked calm. He looked willing to make a tackle when he needed to, shut down a counterattack when he needed to. His distribution looked better than it ever has. He looked so comfortable and far more mature than the just newly 20-year-old that he is. So yes, those three definitely my standouts on the night. And we'll kind of get back to player by player, as we always do, if you listen before, but we'll get into the cons. We'll get a little bit negative. Sorry, guys. Cons. Con time. Yeah, cons. Everything has pros and cons, baby. I mean, the glaring one, as I hit my microphone, oh my gosh. The glaring one, no goals, not just in this game, but in the last game too. A goalless October window. To me, that's frightening. I don't know about you, and yes, I take this result against Colombia. That is definitely a good result. I still don't want to downplay that, because I know I probably will sound negative at times throughout this. We need to score. We just do. We never looked likely to really score, at least against Australia, even when we didn't score. We looked pretty likely to on a number of occasions. We were just wasteful. This time, we didn't even really proper look like we had much of a shot. I think of the Tejan one in the first half when Tanny wins the ball off of the Colombian defender, lays off to Tejan, and there's just no one in the box. So Tejan has to take a shot from what had to be over 25 yards out. And then the only other one I can think of is the offside goal on Jonathan David. Up for debate if that was offside. I don't know. But yeah, that's not good. So we go from last game against Australia to having so many chances that we can't score to this game having almost no chances and still not scoring. That is, to me, frightening and concerning because in a World Cup, say this was our first 2 games of 3 in the World Cup, we're out right now, most likely. Maybe hanging on by the skin of our teeth because we pick up a point against Colombia. But still, no goals after 2 games. That's not ideal. And I know this isn't a World Cup, so it's kind of like, oh, Sam, you're kind of waffling there. But I don't think I am because we have to have eyes on the World Cup. And us not scoring, it doesn't look great. It's been something I've, of course, harped on about many times throughout this podcast, short history. But it just is. It's something that we need to work on. And I'll probably get into that more as we kind of talk about the strikers that played on the day. But yeah, definitely a con. Kind of piggybacking on that, these two kind of go hand in hand with not scoring. We didn't look creative for most of that game. Tajon Buchanan looked like maybe he could have done something. I thought Ahmed found himself pretty isolated. Liam Miller came on, and I thought, of course, Liam Miller looked great when he came on. He looked like maybe something could happen through him. Schaffelberg looked like maybe something could happen through him. But we had Eustáquio kind of playing more of a distributor kind of role instead of the creator kind. So more of like a 6y kind of guy instead of a 10 per se. Coney was more so our 8-10 hybrid because we only played the 2 central midfielders. He didn't really look super creative. I don't think he was bad. I just don't think he looked super creative. And then Jonathan David felt very isolated. Tenny Oluwaseyi, I thought, was actually the better of the 2 on the day, but once again, he wasn't really finding himself getting to create, although that's not entirely his job. I do understand that, but he wasn't really getting to create. He found himself more so pressing more than getting to create chances. And yeah, I think it's just a shame. I thought our fullbacks, while they were both very good, they got themselves into threatening positions, but once again, we just felt very isolated from each other. I think we had a distinct defense, midfield, and strikers, and it didn't really all the time feel like they were playing the same game, I guess. It very much felt like your defense, defend. Midfield, you do midfield. Attack, you do attack. And it didn't really feel like it was 11. It felt more like segments of guys, if that makes any sense at all, because in my head it does. But yeah, and then piggybacking off of that, I just think in our final third, overall, we need to improve. I think decision making in the final third doesn't look great. So even when we can be creative, it feels like maybe the right decisions aren't being made. That of course goes hand in hand with the lack of creativity and the lack of chances to score and the lack of actual scoring. So yeah, those kind of, these are all issues I've kind of talked about, so I feel like I've kind of already talked them to death. So I'll kind of leave it there, I suppose, and we will get into our player by player. Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. We'll go into player by player. So starting in net, we already knew who the man was going to be. It was Dane St. Clair. He didn't have a extremely busy night, I didn't think. I will say, I know you're probably going to kill me because I'm going to be super biased toward Maxime Crepeau. I'm sorry, he didn't look super comfortable anytime Colombia was in our box. I don't find he commands his box as well as Maxime Crepeau. And this is just a personal me thing, I think, but he doesn't give me personally confidence when players are in and around the box sometimes. And now, as I've said multiple times, in the MLS, he is having a great season, genuinely a top 3 at absolute worst goalkeeper in the league this season. So I do rate him. Please do know that. I just find he doesn't command his box as well as Maxime Crepeau, and he looks almost frazzled at times when there's a shot on him. Like there was a couple shots where it's like he didn't move for that. That could have went in. And maybe he knew it was going out. I don't know. I'm not a goalkeeper. But that's just what I think. I will say at the end there, I'm not sure he made that save that ended up going off the post. The boys on commentary were adamant he did. Obviously, the referee wasn't because it was given a goal kick. But if he did make that save, that is a genuinely world-class save. To tip that onto the post and to keep Canada the clean sheet and himself the clean sheet, I will give him his flowers, absolutely 100%. If that save was a save and just like the referee thought the guy just hit the post, so that's why it was a goal kick. If that was a save, genuinely world-class save, like a great save. But yeah, I don't think he was bad. I just don't think he had a ton to do. And just when he did have stuff to do, I personally wasn't filled with confidence, and that could just be me being biased towards Maxime Crepeau. So I will take that and wear that on the chin. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, we'll get into the defense because I don't want to harp on St. Clair because I feel like if I do, it's just going to be me being super negative, and I honestly don't think he was bad. My guy is Maxime Crepeau. I'm sorry, I just have that biased, honestly. I do still rate Dane St. Clair, though. So we'll start at left back since we already kind of talked about Seager, but we'll continue to talk about Seager because why not? But we'll start at left back first. Richie Laryea. I thought this was a very good performance from him. Got booked way too early on and definitely shouldn't have been a booking. But regardless, doesn't change the fact that he looks super mature post yellow card. Because once he got that yellow, I was like, oh my gosh. Justin Marsh going to have to make a change like 15 minutes in just to pull Richie off so that we don't go to a man down. I was proven wrong. Richie, like especially against a team like Colombia, who were really trying to wind up the players and really causing a lot of issues, just start the game and whatnot. I thought Richie did really, really well to keep us cool. And still did his typical Richie things of really getting into guys' faces, playing aggressively, playing on that edge that you love to see from Richie. He looked very good defensively. Once again, not many Colombian guys were finding great joy against him, which is always what you love to see. And yeah, I just thought he was really good. Typical. I always say the same, and I feel bad because I really rate Laryea. I just feel like he's such a solid player, and he always just goes out there, does the job well, and then I always just end up saying basically the same thing about him. Richie, I'm so sorry. Just know I do absolutely love you, and I'm so happy to see him playing for the national team because I do rate him super highly. But you just kind of, Richie Laryea is like a solid minimum 7 out of 10, you know? He comes on, you know you're getting a 7 out of 10 minimum. This performance, by the way, was better than a 7 out of 10. But I'm just saying, like, he comes in and you're going, yeah, we're getting a solid 7 out of 10. He's just that guy. You know, he's going to be super solid in defense and attack, going to wind up some boys, going to really get under the skin, going to win fouls. And that's what he did, and that's what he does. So, yeah, Richie Laryea, it was a good performance. Moving over to Nico Seager, who, of course, we did talk about. But, yeah, I thought he was just... If you say he's your man of the match, I wouldn't argue it. Do you know? I know I said Eustáquio, and I still do think Eustáquio was. But if you said Seager, I go, yeah, that's fair, because I thought he was great. And as I said, I think this was probably his best cap to date. I'm so excited by Seager, just because he has proven to be versatile and good, because I do think that there's a difference. Versatile to me is you can play multiple positions, and then being good at those positions is a different story. He is both. He's proven that he can be a very good right back and proven that he can be a very good midfielder. You are just seeing it with him. You see his technical ability. The way, as I said, the way he was just man-marking Luis Diaz and going in on every... Honestly, kind of reminded me of Alistair Johnston. The way that he was going in on these tackles. He was winning the ball, but he was going to do it hard. And that's what he was doing. Every single challenge, tackle, what have you, he made. He was just proper going in, and it was a fun performance to watch, I thought. And yeah, doing Alistair Johnston proud, of course, our usual right back when healthy. But yeah, I just thought he was very, very good. Now, I would love to see him get a run of games in the center of the park. I'm not sure it's going to happen. Our midfield looks quite good at the moment, but Seager is just as good, I think. Center backs. We'll start with Defougerel since we already kind of talked about him. But yeah, another one. I thought he was great. I really did. I thought our defense as a whole, if you couldn't tell, was great. And I think that was the story of the two games. I think our defense looks solid. I think we're showing that we have the depth in the defense at the moment. Now, I'm not saying, we have the number one defense in the world, but I do think that we have a defense where if guys go out, we can bring guys in. And yes, you're always going to miss an Alphonso Davies. He's the best left back in the world when he's healthy. You're always going to miss a Boys Bombito, in my opinion, our best center back. You are going to miss them, yes, of course. But these guys that are stepping in make you go, you know what, though? They're doing quite good as well. So yeah, if that makes sense, naturally, you will always miss your best players. But if you have guys that can step in and do a job, that is good. And I feel like that's what Defugero is doing. He's stepping in and doing a job. He looks very good. As I said, I think this loan move is benefiting him so much. For him to be able to play week in, week out, he looks so much more confident, so much more calm, just so much more composed on the ball. He's playing with a great maturity as well for a literal just turned 20-year-old. He's playing with a great maturity. I think his distribution has come a long way, and his distribution wasn't bad, don't get me wrong, before, but he's looking so much more comfortable on the ball, looking more comfortable to pick out a pass, and yeah, I'm really liking Defugero there. And next to him was, in my opinion, our most underrated and unsung defender, Derek Cornelius. Once again, I thought he was good. I know, I'm sorry, guys. I thought he was quite good. He was kind of like Defugero. He looked calm. He looked mature. He led the line, I thought. He led the back line really, really well. And I have said now over the last couple of windows, it feels like it's Cornelius's defense because 3 of our 4 starting defenders are out, and you're going to kind of see what Derek Cornelius is made of. And I think we have seen now over the last 2 windows what Derek Cornelius is made of. He can step up. He can be that leader. He can be the guy in your defense. And I think he looks very good. He looks very at home. He looks very comfortable. The header he made, I believe it was the first half, to cut out a cross from one of the Colombians. That's just all reading the game and positioning, and that's another thing that I've always said. Well, not always, because I haven't always had this podcast, but since I've had this podcast, I've said I think his IQ is a severely underrated aspect of his game. For him to read that cross, step in on the Colombian, head the ball out, and just make it look easy, that is not easy. That's not an easy play to read, not an easy one to get right either, and he gets it right easily. And I think that just shows the type of player and the type of quality that we kind of have with Derek Cornelius. And yeah, once again, another guy where I think a move has benefited him. He's only been with Rangers for, about a month-ish now? Month and a half when the window closed, end of August. So about a month and a half. I think the move has benefited him greatly. He's played. He looks more confident. And yeah, really, really big fan of Derek Cornelius, if you couldn't tell. So yeah, our defense over both games, I think, was great outside of literally one mistake. The only thing is that one mistake, once we sort out those one mistake moments, I think our defense is going to be very, very good, which is very good going into a World Cup. Moving into our midfield, we'll start on the left with Ali Ahmed, and sadly, this is a guy that I have not. It's not sadly that I've praised him. The sadly is this part. I thought he was pretty uninvolved on the night. He is a guy that I have, of course, heaped a lot of praise on in recent times. I think he's really come on, especially under Jesse Marsch, and this season with the Whitecaps, I think he's had an absolutely great season. I just found he really wasn't involved that much. And that kind of kills me, because I thought he was quite good against Australia and has been quite good for many, many windows now. But yeah, this just wasn't his game. I don't really have much more to say. He just really looked like he struggled. He didn't really look like at his best, where you're thinking he can create something. As I kind of spoke to earlier, there was a lack of creativity, and I think that kind of stemmed from a guy like Ali Ahmed not really being involved at all, Moving over to his wing counterpart, Tajon Buchanan. I don't think he was great. I thought he did a bit more than Ali Ahmed, though. I think he got a little bit more involved, but once again, not where he was again in that Australia game. The Australia game where I said I thought anytime he was on the ball, I thought he looked something could happen, and something probably should have happened. But this game, he didn't really have those moments. He, like I say, he looked a little bit more persistent, I guess, in the sense where it's like he wanted the ball and wanted to do stuff, but sometimes, I also found a lot of the passes to Buchanan were not good at all. I found a lot of them were either behind him, in front of him, and he didn't want to run onto him. He wanted it, and that's going to happen, of course, but I just found the passes just were not finding him properly at all, and it would cause him to have to slow down or speed up, and then he'd be either ahead of the play or behind the play, and he couldn't really do a whole ton after that. His biggest, of course, thing in the game was that shot. Would have been a very nice goal, by the way, but didn't go in. The keeper decided to make a save. Darn you, goalkeeper, for making a save. But yeah, not his best, not his worst. Just kind of he was there. He was decent, but not his best for sure. But absolutely not his worst either. Moving into the center, though, I'll talk about Kone first because I thought Eustachio had a. I mean, I already told you what I thought of Eustachio, but I'll wax lyrical about him as well a little bit. Once I'm done talking about Kone, I thought Kone looked kind of like Tajon. I think there was spurts where he looked quite good, and then there were spurts where he looked like he struggled a little bit. As I said earlier, it just feels like when he gets that final third, the decision making is just not quite there yet. And I think once he pieces that together, I think we're gonna have the best midfielder. I mean, let's be honest, guys. We already have most of the best midfielders in CONCACAF. I'm sorry. I had to get that in there. We do. But I think it'll be pretty well clear. Kone is the best midfielder in CONCACAF once he kind of sorts out that final third. There was just a couple of times where I found he would get in and around that 18-yard box and just kind of, once again, not know what pass to play, not know if he should shoot, not know if he should take a guy on, just stuff like that. I also thought he wasn't having as much joy. Not to say he wasn't good, because I do think he was still good on the day. But, you think of a Kone performance and you think he's getting the ball, he's driving at players, he's driving through players. I didn't find that was the case all that much during this game. I found he got on the ball and then would kind of lay it off or pass it. Maybe sometimes he would take a guy on, but I just found it wasn't like that Kone-esque, just super going through dudes, which is a shame because that's his most entertaining part of his game. Just biasly as a fan watching it, you want to see that. But I also think just tactically it helps us so much because he progresses that ball so quickly and in a way that not many players that we have at our disposal can do. As I've said before, there's plays where it feels like he takes out 2, 3, 4 defenders and is able to just slice through them. Do you know what I mean? But in this game, I didn't find he was getting to do that all that much. I will say it was good to see him kind of get to sit back, distribute a little bit, kind of playing along Eustachio in that sense. But yeah, if you're going to have Eustachio sit back and distribute, I think you need Kone to kind of be the guy forefront, attacking and whatnot. But yeah, I do think it was a good Kone performance, but just some of his some of his decision making, once he cleans that up, I think we're going to see a proper player. We're already seeing a proper player. Now I'm just talking circles. So let's go to Eustachio. Eustachio, he changed my life. What a performance. Yeah, that was a great performance. I don't have really many other synonyms for it because he was just so good. As I said, Boston midfield was the best player in my opinion on the pitch. He was so good. Just the way he was controlling the game, controlling the tempo, really eager to win the ball back. Didn't look rusty at all, by the way. He's been a player that sadly struggled at Porto this season. And if this performance doesn't convince Porto to give him a shot, Eustachio, just put in your transfer request, man. You deserve to go play. because you looked really, really great. I thought it was a proper captain's performance as well. He looked like a proper leader out there, led by example, which you love to see. And yeah, just some of the positions he would take up, like in the midfield, being just felt like he was available for anyone, anywhere on the pitch. Like they could find him. He was an option. And his distribution as well. Some of the balls he was playing through over and through the Colombian defense, I really wish we had capitalized on them because they were some proper nice passes. And yeah, I guess I'll kind of stop talking about Stacca because I have talked about him a lot, but it was a performance worth talking about. I thought to bring it to a close on Estacio, I just thought he was phenomenal. My man, Maple Footy man of the match. I'm gonna coin that. Maple Footy man of the match. What would the initials for that be? Abbreviation. I should say not initials. Initials are for a name. Abbreviation. Maple M Footy F M O T M. Maple Footy man of the match. Yeah. I like that. So the MFM OTM was Stefan Estacio. All right, now enough of my stupid jokes again. Let's go to our strikers. Tani Oluwaseyi. I thought he was pretty good for what he had to do. He was not getting service. He wasn't really getting found, in all fairness. But I thought he was pressing really well, and he was finding good positions and occupying good space. I just don't think he was getting found, in all fairness. I can't even really think of a proper chance he had. Did he even have any? Let me check the stat sheet. You stand by. Total shots 0. So he didn't even get a chance. He won the ball back a couple of times. He made a couple passes, but he only had 15 touches on the day. So it kind of shows you how isolated he was. So it doesn't really leave me much to say about him. Like I said, I thought he pressed well. He won the ball back a couple of times. But yeah, he just wasn't being found. Yeah, so sorry, Tanny. It was not Tanny time, I suppose. But yeah, I still think he was good for what he could do to be positive, because I don't think it was bad, and I don't think the faults of his performance were on him. I think it's the fact that his team just wasn't finding him, and he wasn't being played. So yeah, I don't think it's really on him where you go, he didn't do much. He couldn't do much. Looking next to him was Jonathan David, and this one is I think this was a very disappointing window for Jonathan David. Outside of the goal that was ruled offside, he looked like a non-factor in both games, and that is concerning to me, as I kind of touched upon last episode, because he's so crucial to everything we do. I couldn't really name you one thing that of importance that counted on the day against Colombia. I know that's why I said that counted, because if I didn't say he didn't do anything of importance on the day, I know someone would say, well, he scored the offside goal. That's why I said he didn't do anything of importance that counted. It just feels like I guess our system has been kind of found out. It flows really well through Jonathan David, let's be honest here. And it feels like the Colombians knew that, and he was a marked man. And that's why I said last episode, we just need to find someone that can step up when Jonathan David is just being marked out of the game. He did, of course, show, going back to that offside goal, he did show if he can break free of that, he can punish you. Now, of course, the goal doesn't count, but I'm using it as an example, because he was pretty well isolated for most of this game. But then he got that one chance because he broke free. So it does show you that even if he's kind of out of a game, he's not out of a game. My only concern is, come the World Cup, will he be able, say we're playing a Portugal or England, France, Germany, what have you. Will he be able to break free even once and be found that one time and be able to score that one time? And if he's not doing that, who's doing that? Because we saw Tanny play, and I don't think Tanny had a bad game, but Tanny also himself wasn't getting found. So who's the guy that's going to be able to step up? We can't always rely on like a moment of magic, like Ishmael Kone, say, curling one in, or a Derek Cornelius wonder free kick, a Tajon Buchanan hat trick that he got for Villarreal, and the list goes on. You can't always rely on moments of magic. We need to have guys that we can always count on. And I'm not saying we can't count on Jonathan David, because we know we can. My point being here is we need a guy that can step up when Jonathan David is struggling. And right now, Jonathan David, it feels like he's struggling, whether it's because of him or because of the system or both. We need to find someone that is able to take the pressure, I guess, and take that off of Jonathan David and go, no, guys, like, I can also do this. That being said, I do think Jonathan David is super important to us, and has been probably our best player under Jesse Marsh in his tenure. So these 2 games, maybe they're just blips in the road. I hope they are, but that's just my concern thinking ahead about we're about 9 months away from the World Cup, whatever it is. That's my concern looking forward to 2026. But let us head into the substitutes. So in the 61st minute, I did a backflip because the Hive was buzzing again, baby. Liam Miller Hive, where you at? He was, I mean, it goes without saying, Lionel Messi, come outside. Liam Miller, get the Ballon d'Or, man. I friggin' love Liam Miller, dude. I missed seeing him play. He's just one of those players that you watch and you go, this is why I watch this game. He looks so energetic. He looks so willing to take on players and successfully doing it a lot of the time. Looking really creative. He was one of our only creative sparks on the day. He just looked so, especially on that left side. I thought he looked better on the left, and then once he got moved to the right, I found he wasn't finding as much joy. And which is funny because he played on the right against Australia, and I thought he found a ton of joy on that right-hand side. But I digress. I just thought he looked so good. He also not afraid to press and track back, which I love about a winger. He'll do all the fancy footwork. He'll create some chances, but he'll also press and he'll also track back. And that is hugely important in this system as well, especially with that we play 4 at the back, 4 in the midfield. So you need your midfielders to track back. You need your wingers, I should say, to track back. And Lee Miller was doing that. And he just, man, I hope he gets healthy and stays healthy, because I still believe that left wing spot could be his at the 2026 World Cup. I just don't think we have a player at this moment that is, that much fun, I think. I think that's what I love about Lee Miller. He's just so fun to watch. And I think once he gets back into game shape, gets more games and minutes under his belt, I think we're really going to see him explode here. I really, really do. You saw it under Jesse Marsh last year. I thought he had a good Copa. He had 2 very good friendlies under Jesse Marsh before the Copa America. Then he had a good October window. And then, of course, the injury happened, and we haven't seen him really since. And now this window, I thought he looked electric when he came off the bench in both games. Got a good almost half hour here today, which is very positive, I think, for a guy coming back from an ACL injury. I think that's super, super good to see that. And yeah, just really, really happy about Liam Miller. I know, I'm gushing. I'm super biased. I'm being a fanboy, and I don't even care. Maple Footy, it says it in our banner, the home of the Liam Miller Hive. So you gotta expect it, man. But we'll move away from Liam Miller, as much as it breaks my heart to do so. Promise David came on in the 71st minute for Tani Oluwaseyi. Not a great window for Promise David. I found in the Australia game, he probably could have left the field with maybe 1 or 2 goals. In this game, I think he suffered the Tanny problem, where he was making some good runs, finding good space, but he just wasn't getting found. And I don't really attribute that to him. I think that's more so on the guys around him. He's a striker. You need to get him the ball. I will say I do like that he was pressing, kind of like Tanny. We basically did a like for like, let's be honest here. He was pressing well. He looked like he was getting in good positions, but he was never really found. And that's basically exactly what I said for Tanny. So it's kind of rinse and repeat. I'm sorry, promise. Moving into Jacob Schaffelberg, he also came on in the 71st for Tajon Buchanan. I also thought he looked good off the bench. He looked very lively. He looked up for it. Unlucky. He was the one that was deemed offside. I'd be interested to see that go to, like, there's no VAR in the friendly, but it would be one of those ones where it's like, I'd be interested to see how offside he was, because he really didn't look too offside. It looked close, is my point here. But regardless, I thought he looked good. He, like I said last episode, I think this is the role that you will see the best of Jacob Schaffelberg, because when he's coming on with his speed against those tired legs, he's going to exploit that. He's going to have so much room, so much space to operate and get himself into great positions to whip a cross in or take a shot. And you were kind of seeing that here against Colombia. He was coming on against those tired legs. He looked very good on the ball. Looked like he was occupying some very good positions. Of course, it doesn't happen for us on the day. But still, I just think this is how you get the best out of Jacob Schaffelberg. That's my humble opinion. In the 84th, though, we got Mathieu Choinière. He came on for Ishmael Kone. Didn't get much time, of course, to really settle in and make an impact on the game. But I thought he looked good, got a few decent touches in. But, yeah, don't really have much to say. He wasn't really on for all that long. And then at the same time, Zorhan Bassong, the Maple Footy podcast, is also the home of the Zorhan Bassong fan club. So I was very happy to see Zorhan Bassong come in. Kind of like Choinière, though. I don't have a whole ton to say about him, except for the fact I really like his attitude. He's one of those guys that really feels on the bubble for this World Cup squad, if he's going to be coming or not, you know. But it hasn't deterred from him looking like he's really up for it every time he plays, which I know, Sam, the professionals, of course they should. You say that, but then how many times have you seen a player down tools when they're not in the plans for either club or country? Exactly. So yeah, really happy that Zorhan Bassong at least gets the cap here. But sadly, yeah, just, you know, not a whole ton to say on him. I will also say I'm a little bit disappointed for Jonathan Osorio that he didn't get into this game. A lot of this match in the media and press and whatnot was, you know, Jonathan Osorio is playing against the country where he has a lot of familial ties. I believe his parents are from Colombia. I think that's where his family lineage goes back to. I could be wrong, but I do know, of course, he has heritage in Colombia. So this would have been a really cool game for him to have played. His whole family, I saw on Twitter, was there. So that I understand that, you know, as a manager, you got to do what's best for the team, pal. But I will say, and I am super biased, I understand that Jonathan Osorio is my guy. He's the guy for me. So I might be a little bit biased, but I do think it is a shame, especially when you had another sub to use. You have 6 subs in the friendly and you only used 5. You could have even brought him on you could have brought him on when you brought on Choinière and Kone. I understand you wanted the result. I get it, but still, it does suck. And that's kind of, I guess, what I'll kind of end it with ish, kind of. I always hate when we bring guys and they don't get on. I understand that's how it is, but me, just as a person, I just kind of feel bad when guys don't get on, giving up club time, giving up time that they could spend with their family, giving up all that time, and you don't even get on. I had an issue when we did it in the Copa America. I had an issue when we did it in the Gold Cup, and before this podcast, when we did it in the 2022 World Cup. Remember that third group game that we played? We should have rotated our entire team, and we didn't, and I had an issue with it then. I have an issue with it now. So yeah, just a shame that some of the guys didn't get on, and I understand I'm probably speaking from a little bit of bias there, but yeah, I will say, of course, do what's best for a team. I understand that, but in a friendly, especially when the friendly probably meant a lot, maybe we could have, you know, brought him in, you know, maybe. But yeah, I will also say, this reminds me, the fouls of this game were unreal, man. Like, absolutely crazy. Like, so many the fact that Colombia didn't get any cards is absolutely wild. Like, they were fouling our players constantly and didn't get any cards, especially when you set the precedent that you're going to just be handing out cards like candy when you give Richie Larea a yellow card for doing absolutely nothing at all, and he gets a yellow. Every single foul after that should have been a yellow card when you think about it. But there were some genuine yellow card things that happened. like Richard Reyes, just straight up elbowing Estacio right in the back of the head. Not a card. Okay, cool. So I didn't like that, and I do think that also contributed to maybe some of the stop-startedness of the game, because it felt like there was a lot of it. But we've played a lot of these games now where it's been pretty stop-start. We need to figure out how to, I guess, how to play through it and get the best out of our guys, and to kind of, when the game's gonna be stop-start. Okay, boys, it's gonna be a stop-start one. We're going to have to do something. You know what I mean? And what that something is, I don't know. But I'm not the coach. But, yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up there. I'm comfortable with that. I'm content with that. I hope you are too. But, yeah, obviously, it was a window, I think, of mixed emotions, I think best sums it up. It wasn't a terrible window. Like, it wasn't disastrous. But it wasn't a great window either. We looked good against Australia, but didn't get the result. Then I thought we looked decent against Colombia and got kind of a result. So you kind of walk away going, it was decent. Like, it could have been better. It could have been a lot worse, but could have been better. And I think that's my feelings on the window. Very mixed, a mixed bag. But I'm curious to know what your feelings on the window are. DM me at MapleFootyPod on socials if you're listening to this on one of the podcasting platforms. If you're listening on YouTube, comment, let me know. How do you feel about this window? What would you do going into the World Cup as well? What players would you bring? What players would you drop? How would you get the best out of Jonathan David's strike partner? May it be Tani Oluwaseyi? Maybe it's a Theo Bair who was left at home. Maybe it's Kyle Larin, or maybe it's Promise David, or maybe it's someone else. Let me know. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. I have more planned to come out, potentially, hopefully, interviews as I'm recording this. Maybe we got one more in us before the CPL season is over. I'm hoping so. Maybe another couple, but I understand that the season is quickly coming to an end. But yeah, we have other things that I'm looking forward to. Of course, the next international window we will be covering, as we always do. But yeah, outside of that, follow me on all the socials that play at the beginning of the episode. And yeah, with all that being said, thank you for listening. I do seriously appreciate it. 97 is wild. So until next time, cheers, everyone.
And that was your Maple Footy podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Check my socials for any and all future updates. Remember to support Canadian football, be kind, and until next time, live, laugh, little.